So first off, I wanted to discuss the pros and cons of raising the minimum wage and then the correct number that I think would be sufficient enough for the minimum wage. So we'll start with the cons. There could be a possible effect on the job outlook, meaning that if there is a higher rate of pay in minimum wage jobs, then more people are apt to maybe not go to school and just pick a career where they could either be managing a business or what have you. So maybe it'd be harder. I wanted to first go over the pros and cons of raising the minimum wage and what I think the right number should be. So the cons, there could be a possible effect on the job outlook. If more people are considering minimum wage jobs because the minimum wage is higher, then maybe people who do have the capability of going to a higher school and getting an actual degree would go down. I mean, it's a lot easier to go work at a fast food restaurant or some sort of retail store than it is to get a 4-year degree. So maybe the ability for people that can't, or maybe just don't have the academic ability of getting a 4-year degree, are going to have less of a job opportunity in these lower income minimum wage jobs. Another con, this is going to raise the prices of these goods in jobs where minimum wage is higher. It's going to raise them because business owners are going to have to raise their prices to even out what they're spending on employing their employees. That's going to be a problem for the American consumer. Let's go to the pros. So there's going to be a lower poverty rate. Obviously, if we can raise that minimum wage, we're going to see the poverty rates go down. I mean, people have more spending money. People are able to provide their families more sufficiently. One of my favorites is there's going to be more of a work-life balance. I don't remember where I put this. I think I discussed it in one of my discussions, but I have one of my managers at Culver's. I work at Culver's in Heartland. 54 years old. He's done so many great things with his life. Like, he raises pit bulls for a local shelter, and he used to be a social worker for kids in Milwaukee, and he's done so many amazing things for people in our community, and he has to work 6.5 days a week in his 50s and 60s. Like, he's going to be 60 coming up pretty soon, and that's what he's doing. I just don't think it's fair. I think he hit a bad stroke of luck. He had to work a minimum wage job, and just to make the bills meet, or make ends meet, he has to work excessively. I think with a higher minimum wage, we can be more fair to these minimum wage workers who work so hard. I mean, it's manual labor. I mean, you're on your feet all day. It's not like a desk job. So I think we'll also have better customer service in these places because our employees will be working less. They're going to be getting paid more. The American consumer is going to have a better experience in places where minimum wage is enforced or used to pay employees. Going along with the poverty, we might see a decrease in drug use because people don't need to just sell drugs anymore. I mean, if they're making enough at their minimum wage job, they don't need that side job selling weed or cocaine or what have you. So yeah, I think the minimum wage that would be fair is $10 for workers in Wisconsin. That seems to be a pretty flat rate. I'm not an adult, so I don't know how much that really means. I mean, I know $7.25 isn't cutting it for most of my fellow adult employees, and I'd be really interested to see what they think as well. So maybe I can get another perspective on that. But I know that's what I make when I babysit, and it adds up really quick when you're working those hours. So I think that'd be a fair rate, especially now that prices are raising because of coronavirus. I only think it's fair. I analyzed some tax reform ideas, specifically the flat tax, and I had to decide what tax system is best. I, hands down, think that the flat tax system is best because it no longer punishes higher income families like mine. A way to explain this is, let's say I get an A on a test and you get a D on a test. What the progressive, or I'm sorry, I think I have the name wrong. Yes, the progressive tax system does is it basically says, well, I got an A and you get a D. Well, how about you both get C's now? That'll make it fair. I worked harder, I got the better grade, you did worse. I don't see why I would have to be punished. I mean, for a higher income person to be taxed more, that means they probably they paid a lot of money to go to college. Their parents paid a lot of money to go to college. They work extremely hard in their job. They're intelligent. compared to somebody who maybe doesn't have those capabilities and is working a minimum wage job or maybe a little bit more than that. I just don't think it's fair. I mean, if you want to be taxed highly, it's like, in a way, it's pushing people away from being taxed highly. I mean, my dad says that 40% of his paycheck is taken automatically, about 40%. It's not fair. He works so hard for that money and the government just takes it away because somebody else can't handle it. I also studied the poverty situation in America and developed a plan to help these people. I looked at it from kind of a different angle. I don't think it's helping the people in poverty as they're in poverty. I think it's stopping people from becoming impoverished. I think pushing college in schools, especially in lower income areas to begin with, where kids might think that their only way out is drugs or working in those minimum wage jobs, I think we need to push college. I mean, these kids have the same opportunity to work hard and gain scholarships. I think there need to be more scholarships available, especially to kids in lower income areas. I think the government needs to budget 10 times the amount that they are for schooling right now. I think if we get a better education system, people are going to be more apt to go to college. And that will obviously raise the poverty rate. I think another step we can also take is to raise minimum wage for those who are already stuck in poverty. That boost might be just enough to help them support themselves more. I also analyzed the economic impact of attending college versus a 2-year school versus joining the workforce right after college. Right after high school. In college, if people who are attending college have higher paying jobs, which would lower the poverty rate. If more people attend college, though, there's going to be less of a potential job outlook for those people. So the more people that are getting the same degree, there's going to be less of a demand in that degree, and maybe more people will be apt to go to secondary school or 2-year school or just join the workforce of the military after. There are higher student loans when you go to college. And honestly, the unemployment rate for going to a 4-year school, or the unemployment rate for people coming right out of college, is too low or too high to be worth it. Almost 53% of college graduates are unemployed or working a job that doesn't require their bachelor's degree. That means working as a barista at Starbucks when they have a bachelor's degree for business. People are paying a lot of money to work at Starbucks. So, a 2-year school, a trade education, there's job outlook to be a plumber, to be an electrician. Those schools provide that education. And student loans are going to be much less taxing on people who are paying them. The workforce, there are going to be more people in poverty because those jobs just don't pay as much. And if a hard spot hits, you're kind of stuck with what you have. It's hard to save up when you don't have money to save. And there are no loans, so that's also a benefit. Okay, Mr. Radke, this is my final project. Have a good weekend.